So this is a hot topic that's been discussed for about a week now, and I realize I'm late to the party, but I wanted to talk about this because it's not something that we've actually gone in depth and talked about on this channel. And I wish Jay was here to tell his perspective about everything, but he's getting ready to go to a con. I just wanted to shoot this, get it out there. We're pretty much on the same page when it comes to this sort of thing, I'm pretty sure. For those of you who have been living under a rock for the last week, basically what happened was that Nintendo is going after ROM sites. MU Paradise is target number one. It's the one that I always go to get my ROMs. It's what we fill our EverDrives and our RetroPies with. It's just a great site, easy to use, and there was always just everything that you could ever want on there. Nintendo was going after them. Threatening lawsuits with a substantial amount of money, by the way, a ton of money. And we're talking millions and millions and millions of dollars. So MU Paradise, they eventually just took off all their Nintendo ROMs, but now they took off all their ROMs. It's pretty much, it's gone. You can't get anything from there anymore. Other websites like that are following suit. I'm gonna go more into the morality aspect of all of this and kind of put my editorial views on all of it out there, because I've seen a lot of people say some things that I'm like, really? I mean, come on, it makes me scratch my head a little bit, and I want to kind of cover that and go over that and give my perspective over things, because at the end of the day here, there's no black or white issue, there's no black or white answer. I think there's a middle ground, there's a gray area with all of this stuff. I would say that from what I'm standing here thinking to myself, overall, ROMs are okay. Emulation's fine. Now, a lot of you probably may be surprised about that because here I am collecting the actual carts, and you probably think I'm gonna stand here and go, actual carts are nothing, emulation's evil, ROMs are evil. No, that's not the case at all. And the reason I think that, now again, it's a gray area. There's points you have to look at here. Some of these companies are no longer ever going to collect any money from any of these games being played, period. Obviously there are, Nintendo being one of them. When you download a ROM of Mario 3, I'm gonna use that as an example, you are essentially stealing from them, their IP. Because you can purchase that legally. You can go and get the NES Mini. Now, you can also make the argument that Nintendo's are a bunch of idiots because they don't make enough for people to be able to go out and get legally. They're not making a virtual console. And that's what pisses me off mostly about this all, is Nintendo are going after all these ROM sites. They're going after ROMs, but they're not making it available to purchase legally. So what choice do you have? And that's what sets me off and pisses me off about all of this, is if they had a virtual console that you can purchase this stuff legally now on the Switch, okay, I understand it. You want to protect your IPs, you want to protect your Mario 3 and everything else. Completely understandable. But when you're not giving people the option and you're only making limited supplies of the NES Mini that most people can't even get and they're buying secondhand, then what's your problem? You know, you go screw yourself with that. And that's what drives me crazy about Nintendo these days, is those business decisions. I love their games, I hate their company. It's like the Game Chasers DVD. They're available. We're gonna keep printing them as long as we have the funds to do so. But if 2 or 3 years pass and you can't get a hold of a DVD, it's basically like us saying, well, I mean, we no longer want the cash for it. It's no longer worth making it for us. I can understand you being like, oh, I have no choice but to go get it somewhere else, whatever. You know, I get that. But as long as we're printing them and making them available to you guys, then yeah, we appreciate the support, and we appreciate the fact that you're gonna spend your money on it, and for the product that we put out, we're owed that money because we created a product. If we're not making it available to people and they have no other choice, then hey, I get it. Okay, it's the same thing with Nintendo. Now maybe they have plans in the future and maybe that's why they're doing this, okay, but they've said no plans. They said they have no working virtual console at this point. So really, what's going on here? And for every game like Mario 3, where the IP is still available for you to purchase, the game is still available to purchase, there are probably 100 more that you can't. Just rare stuff, uncommon stuff that, I mean, look behind me, all this Atari ST stuff. We're not talking just Nintendo, we're talking all systems here. Atari, Magnavox Odyssey 2, just anything and everything. And television, they're all out. There's so many, there's thousands and thousands of games out there that the only way that some people can play them is through emulation. And the companies, the programmers that spent all those hard, long hours making these games, they're not collecting money on them anymore, period. Do you think there's going to be a release of RoboCop and the Atari ST or the Munsters? It's done. It's had its time. It had its time in the sun where they made a product, got the money, got compensation for that product, and now it's done. It's over with. Okay. Now I realize Atari and in television and ColecoVision, they release systems, plug and plays with those games on there. And if that's the way you got to play it, and that's the way to purchase legally, then yeah, okay, we're talking about the gray area here again. Maybe you don't have a way to play those. I'm not here to debate that aspect of it, but you just got to decide, you know, is it morally okay for you to download this particular game when you can legally buy it on a plug and play? I don't know. It's whatever. I'm not here to say yes or no on that. I'm just giving my opinion, and I say that ROMs are awesome. You got to look at it also this way. Most of these games, so many of these games, they're going to fade off into oblivion. I would say that 95% of the games out there will never be released on, I don't know the actual number, but 95, 90, it sounds like a good, reasonable number. 95% of those games out there will never ever be released again, legally, on anything. So how are you supposed to get them? That's the only way you get them, through ROMs, through emulation. If you are not able to get them through ROM sites because they all go down, because Nintendo wants to throw their weight around, then these games literally just poof, go off into thin air. They no longer exist anymore. Because you think these carts are going to last forever? You think these discs are going to last forever? No, of course they're not. They're going to rot and they're going to go into dust. 100 years from now, a ROM's going to work. It's going to be preserved. You're preserving these games out there. And it's not even just that, it's having the access to them. I mean, because there's always going to be, I see it preserved, you're always going to have a library, a history of the games that were all made somewhere, some way, but having access to that library, being able to play them, that's another thing. That's another thing altogether. So that in of itself, I think ROMs are important just for game history, just years from now. And I truly believe that. And I hear people, and this is what gets me, I hear people say, well, you shouldn't download those because it's illegal. That Centipede on Atari 2600, you don't own the rights to that, you shouldn't download it. Okay, first of all, cut the crap. Because most people saying this, I am willing to bet, have a cart of that game or any game that they're talking about in their collection, more than likely. Well, it's a good chance anyway, because a lot of these are collectors saying this. Okay, so you're meaning to tell me that you say that it's morally wrong for somebody to download a ROM because the programmers are no longer, can't get that money from it, but yet you're gonna say it's morally okay for you to buy Mario 3 secondhand off a flea market vendor. That's okay. How is that okay? But downloading the ROMs is not. All these games I got right here, every one of them, all these carts, I got them off flea market vendors and stores. I got them secondhand. None of these are the ones that I originally, well, UN Squadron and a few others are the ones that I originally purchased and gave Nintendo or Capcom or whatever back in the day their money, okay? But most of these, like 99.9% of them, I bought at flea markets and at game stores at secondhand. None of this stuff went to the original, none of the money that I put towards this stuff went to the original programmers. So how is somebody who's gonna have a Mario 3 cart that they bought at a flea market and Nintendo didn't get a dime out of, and that they can go home and play and have that experience. How's that morally okay? But somebody downloading a ROM, something's wrong with that. And you know what? I'm willing to bet a lot of money that these people saying, well, you shouldn't download ROMs because the original programmers don't get the money, which is fair. I'm willing to bet that these same people buy used games from GameStop. Yeah, that used game that you bought from GameStop, you should have bought it new, because that money that you just spent didn't go to the original programmers that went to GameStop. So who's the real asshole now? So hypocritical, absolutely hypocritical. And I've seen it. I've seen comments about that. I've seen comments from people, I'm not gonna name names, but I've seen comments just like that, saying, well, you shouldn't be downloading that because you don't own the, and I go to their channel and they're in front of a big wall of games. More than likely, now I can't speak for all of them, but more than likely, a lot of those people, those aren't their childhood games. They probably got them secondhand when they started collecting again. Don't know. I mean, I don't know, but that's just a guess. No, those are people out there that do that though. So that's what I wanted to get off my chest about this whole emulation thing, because that's just a stupid attitude to have. Either support, if you're gonna go on a moral high ground and push up your glasses and do this and say, and give your moral superiority over everybody, then be consistent about it, okay? Go give away all your games. I was gonna say throw away games. Go give away all your games and then purchase an NES Mini, and then, you know, just play the games that are on that. Don't play anything else. Because all those carts that you're gonna go out and buy at the flea market, original programmers aren't getting that money. I have a special place in my heart for emulation, for ROMs. Yes, I collect the original carts. I have an entire game room full of them. I love them. I love having the original hardware, the original software. It's why I do what I do. And I will always prefer that. But ROMs, they do have a place. Whether it be you want to actually try out a game and see if you enjoy it before you go out and spend $200 on the rare original cart, or you just want to casually play and not give your money to a flea market vendor. That's fine too. If it wasn't for ROMs, I wouldn't be in collecting. At least I don't think I would. I may have still got into collecting, but it may have been through an entirely different route. But ROMs actually did get me into collecting. And I'll probably do a video on something like that here down the road too, but ROMs are a part of my gaming history. So anyway, that's the video. I will say this, just to wrap it up. Here's another big point here. This is by no means the end of emulation and the end of ROMs. It makes it more difficult to get them because Emu Paradise was such an amazing site, but you can still get them. Once it's on the internet, it's forever on the internet. So while it may be more difficult to get them, and your average Joe may just not even bother anymore, you can still get them, and you will always still be able to get them. So Nintendo, you may have won the battle, but the war will never be won. So anyway, take care, everyone.